So today, I'm so thrilled to share this space and time with Beth Osmer. First, if I haven't met you, my name is Tiffany Hauser, and I am a leadership coach and corporate coach working in the space of the workplace and people experience, working on emotional intelligence, diversity and inclusion, mindset, potential, performance, all that great stuff in and out of the workplace. Um, so that's who I be. And Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Hi. I just saw that someone said the voice is not good. I don't know if there's like feedback. I hear feedback.
I do too. So
Is it
let's see
me? Is it my phone?
yeah, I don't know. We have to turn the volume all the way down on the phone.
It's as far as it goes.
Yeah, me too. But I'm getting something over here too. I wonder
Sorry, guys. We're trying to stream on multiple.
okay. Maybe
Thanks.
we'll just lower the volume on our computer a little bit too to thank you for that. You should just try on
That
Instagram
better?
or Facebook. Yeah. Okay. So
Hi.
we'll say a couple more words. If there's
Okay.
any other situation on feedback, let us know. How are we doing out there in the world of Instagram and Facebook? Hey, Facebook friends, how are we doing? Are you able to hear us? Awesome. Okay, Facebook friends can hear us.
It's better. Someone just wrote it's better.
Actually, Miles is going to be my guest next Monday. So,
Oh,
thank you,
yay.
Miles. Okay, great.
It's better. Someone said it's better.
And everyone who's watching, keep letting us know, like the quality. Can you hear us? Like, thank you for the feedback because we want to make sure we're not talking to nothing. I mean, we want to make sure you guys can hear us. And just as I was saying, add your comments, add your insight, add your questions as we go along. If we don't catch them live, we 100%, Beth and I will be coming back in later today to respond and to, engage with whatever it is that comes up for you over this time today. So Beth Osmer, all the way from San Francisco.
Yay.
Let everyone know who you are and who you be.
Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Osmer, and yes, I live in San Francisco. I am a spiritual empowerment guide, and I help people relieve the pain of their past so that they may be powerful in their present. And I've been working for over 15 years with people all over the world to support them in coming back home to themselves, support them in being their most powerful self. I have a very traumatic childhood story. So I truly, truly believe that anyone can heal, because if I can work through all of that, and I'm still learning, I'm still growing, there's all those things, I truly believe that anybody can heal. And right now, especially what's going on in our world, is the time. There's no better time than the present to begin healing any part of yourself that is out of balance.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And, it's such an interesting time, as you said. And, both of us have been, finding and listening to people just who have different experiences. So even though, this is a collective, like one single experience that's going on in the world, we each individually are having our own experience to what this means for us and as a collective. So Beth, where would you like to begin today? I'm almost intrigued by the story that you said, an interesting childhood story.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know where you'd like to begin today with sharing, how you're navigating through what's going on in the world and where we get to go as a result of this paradigm shift we're in right now.
Okay. Yeah, this is a big question. And, you're going to hear, I'm just going to presence this. During this time, you're going to hear a lot of opinions. You're going to hear a lot of people share what they believe or what they think is going on. And so whatever people say, I just really want to presence this, really feel into what your truth is. because we're all navigating through this. Even Tiffany and I are on here and we're talking about it, but we're all navigating through it. We're all working to find our like sea legs, so to speak, in this. So find your own truth. And there are some things that some people may say that you're like, oh yeah, that completely lands, that completely resonates, and then some things may not. So I just want to presence that. So my thing is, like, as I mentioned, I had a really traumatic childhood. And for a long time, I was a victim to that story. Huge victim. I did lose both of my parents before 5 years old. And after that, I was in one abusive home after another. So I was basically an orphan. And what resulted in using drugs and alcohol to cope, being promiscuous to cope. I could not stand to be in my body. I couldn't stand to be in my mind. I could not stand to be me. Like I wanted to be anybody else in the world but myself. And I just realized one day, I had this moment of clarity. I was like, I'm either going to get sober, turn my life around, or I'm going to be miserable. Like I had this moment where, like, the universe, whatever you want to call it, my higher self, God, I decided I needed to take my power back from my own story. I needed to take my power back. And so I've been on a mission. That was around 28 years old when I went into rehab. I put myself in rehab and I just started down this path. And I share all of that because we can be victims to our stories. So many people can, so many people are, and you don't have to. And the thing is, the story that we're in right now, the coronavirus story, this one day will be a story that you tell people. Remember back in 2020 when the coronavirus, it's going to be a story. So what character do you want to be in this story? Do you want to be in the story, the victim in the story? The protagonist of the story? Like, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this story right now? Because you do have a choice how you want to show up. And that doesn't mean you don't get to feel scared. It doesn't mean that you don't get to feel sad. It doesn't mean that you don't get to grieve, because we're all feeling that. It's like, what are you going to do in spite of it?
Yeah. So Beth, let's talk about that. That, first of all, everyone, powerful. This is a story, and what role or what character do you want to be in that story? Powerful stuff. And what's coming up for me, what I'm hearing you say first was that power piece.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of the role I want to play, that first starts with power.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you joining us and watching us now or later on the replay, I know if you haven't been in the world necessarily that Beth and I have been in, power might seem like, the powers that be, or, corporate power or government power. And that's not what we're talking about. So Beth, let's lean in and start with just like defining power, what we mean by being in our power, because you use the word choice a lot. And I want to unpack that a little bit too.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up, because it's in my language so much. No, I am not talking about like all powerful conquering power or the powers of anything from outside of yourself. I'm speaking of personal power, like who you are at your core. And you could call it your higher self. You could call it your light. You could call it your confidence. You could replace it with any word. I just love the word power because it's powerful when you think about, like, using the question, am I giving my power away to the government? Am I giving my personal power away to a boyfriend? Am I giving my personal power away to money? Whatever it is. And that question, I find, kind of wakes people up. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that, because your power, your confidence, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, it is yours. It is precious. And there's a million ways that we can give our power away. And as we're seeing right now, we are powerless over this virus. Like, we don't have control over it at all, but we do have control over how we respond and how we hold our own personal power. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So take that into the choice part of it as well. So power is it's always been we were born with it.
Mhm.
you know. And one of the things I always say is that's one of the things no one could ever take away from you
Mm-mm.
is what I used to say, your choice, your power to choose. And the deeper part of that, or the core, the root of that, is power.
Mhm.
So power being the root gives birth to the choice. And
Mm.
you know, going back to your example of this is the coronavirus story we're in right now, and you have the power to choose: are you the victim or the protagonist, or are you the creator and designer and healer, compassionate, whatever fill in the blank you get to be in this moment. So walk us through a little bit about that point, because you know, I'm going to be honest, some days I'm a victim, some moments, not some days, some moments I'm like, whoa, it like a brick hits me. And then I choose to go into my power and shift. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really great that you brought this up. And I just want to say this. I've been working with people long enough that I do recognize and realize there are some patterns, there are some things that are going on within your being that sometimes you feel like you're powerless to it. So let's say like you're dealing with an addiction, like, or you're dealing with an addiction to being rageful or angry or something like that. And sometimes you're like, it just comes over me and I can't control it. There are some things that it feels like you are completely out of control, and I get that. I totally get that because I have felt like that myself. One, there's support and help you can get around that. Two, it's intention. Like let's say you have I'm just making this up, an addiction to rage. There are some people that love to rage. They feel powerful when they rage. They feel in control, but at the end of the day, you're out of control. But let's just use it as an example. And you're like, I can't, no matter what, I just get like, I see red and I'm just going off on someone or something like that. If you set the intention every day, today I am not going to give power to my rage. Today I am not going to give power to alcohol. Today I am not going to give power to X, Y, and Z, or to fear, whatever it is, you will turn it around. I've seen it even with like chronic pain. I used to be in chronic pain after the birth of my daughter, and I was like, for months, I was giving power to the pain. Like, oh, this is never going to get better. I was like a victim to the pain. And then I realized I don't have to do this. And the pain is controlling my life. And I need to get in the driver's seat of it. And when I did that, it didn't make the pain less. Actually, I did make the pain less. That's not true. It did shift the pain
Yeah.
because I had the intention to say, I'm not doing this anymore. So intention really goes a long way. And you do have choice at any given moment. And if you feel like you don't, just start setting that intention. And I promise you, it will shift. Like it will
Mm.
absolutely shift.
Yeah, you are just thank you so much, Beth. You're reminding me of what Maria Alejandra and Thomas shared. They shared a couple of steps that have been working for them navigating through this time. And MA shared pause as her first step.
Mm-hmm.
And Thomas shared stop. Stop and pause kind of create the same experience.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm hearing from you is intention, like pausing to set the intention.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my experience, in order to create a shift, you get to be present, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by pausing, you're able to presence yourself with right now, not the outcome that seems to be creating rage or fear or worry or whatever it is, but presencing yourself to what you want instead. And that, in my experience, is power. How about you? Is that,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's incredibly powerful. Presencing what you want instead is taking your power back.
Yeah. And I just want to present something right now. So for those of you who are just joining us, this is my guest today, Beth Osmer, fantastic energy guide, empowerment coach. And I want to presence that we are streaming live. She and I are on Zoom. We're streaming live on Facebook and Instagram. So you're going to see us like maneuvering and moving and being flexible, as Jennifer Nealon shared with us earlier this week. So just know that we are streaming on a lot of platforms because we get to share with as many people as possible. So I just want to presence that as well, in case somebody popped on and they're like, what's happening over there? So Beth, let's just recap that at the core of, you know, what we get to be in this moment is power, and from power creates choice. And we are, and Beth presents that we're in this story of coronavirus right now, where we can either be the victim, the protagonist, or the designer, the creator, the healer, the light shower. And from that choice, in order to be here, we get to pause and set an intention. Am I on track with you, Beth?
Oh my gosh, you said it beautifully.
Okay,
like you
great.
recapped that beautifully.
Great, awesome. So what's next?
So
where
what's
do we
next?
go from there?
That's a great question. You know, so Tiffany and I were talking before we started streaming, and it is so funny to have all these devices. So thank you for presencing that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but we were talking before the virus. So when my daughter, all of a sudden they shut the school down, and I was like, this is happening. I was a denier at first. I was like, I'm not buying into the media. When this first started happening, I was like, this fear, I wasn't buying into it. And then it got real. It got super real when they said school was going to get shut down. We're in California, we're on shelter in place, all of that. And I started realizing how deeply attached I was to my routine, how deeply attached I was to seeing my friends. Tiffany and I had an event that everything got rescheduled, and I can even feel it in my heart right now, how attached I was to all of those things, and how addicted. My addiction is being busy. Like I stay really, really busy because I realize, because I'm avoiding intimacy. Like I'm avoiding intimacy with my daughter. I'm avoiding intimacy with my husband. I'm avoiding intimacy with myself. So when all of this kind of got stripped away, I realized how attached I was to certain things, and I got to sit with that. And I can guarantee every single person is probably going through some sort of realization how deeply attached we are to certain things, because the rug has been pulled out underneath us, and it's not a bad thing. It's only here. It's not easy and it's not fun, but it's here for our growth. I truly believe that. And yes, people are going to die and people are going to suffer, and it's hard to be home with your kids, and some people are living alone. And my like that piece is where I really feel drawn to supporting people who are feeling very alone right now. That's all very real. And so the virus, in my opinion, in my meditations, this is what I've seen, and it's with anything, there's a light side and a dark side to almost anything.
That's a really rich place. So walk everyone through that, because this is like really your gift, and a lot of your wisdom that I've experienced is, you know, I'm like the kid with popcorn, or the kid like when you start talking about the light and the dark, like it just makes so much sense and creates a serenity and that peace of mind, which, you know, a lot of these conversations have been offering to me, which is why I wanted to share them. So let's go into that light and dark of anything. And it's not just specific to coronavirus, but you know, anything we're up against in life.
I mean, you guys all know this. We live in a world of contrast. I mean, all movies there's, you know, almost every single movie, there's a light side and a dark side, a villain and a hero. Star Wars is built on the dark and the light, like these big movies. So we are all aware that they're the dark side and a light side of things. And the dark, we get scared of the dark because it's like the dark, but it's there. It's just the shadow side of everything. We have a shadow side of ourselves. We have a shadow side of corporations. I mean, we can go on and on and on of like everything as a human being has a light side and a dark side. And so what I've seen in my meditations with the coronavirus is it is both light and dark. And it's where we choose. And what I've also seen is like what the navigating through the dark is where people are going to get like sticky and hung up, because that's where the fear is collecting.
Mm,
And the pandemic is horrible and it's terrible and all of the things, and it's causing real physical suffering. But the fear, oh my gosh, the fear is what is collecting in our energetic kind of experience
yeah.
and feeding more of the dark. And so it's not about not feeling the fear. It's like, how do you feel it and then release it and not live in it, not live in it. So that's the way. And the light side, it's like, oh, the skies are clearing up in Beijing. We can see clear water again. The earth is taking a rest. You're spending time with yourself and your family. I mean, there's a lot of positives that are going to come out of this if we choose to learn the lessons that Gaia, Mother Earth, is showing us through this.
Mm. And thank you for presencing, you know, the earth in this as well, and the healing, not just in humanity, but, you know, I'd love to presence that, because we are earth. We are all connected on that. So as she heals, we heal. And as we heal, she heals.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some things that the audience, you know, anyone who's watching now or later, what are some things that, you know, they can keep in mind and use to navigate through the light and the dark? And I know you refer to the dark sometimes as shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So let us in on more of that.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. And it just reminds me, I have a 10-year-old, and the last couple of nights she has had nightmares. And it's like last night I was up with her 2 or 3 hours having these nightmares. And it was like right before she'd fall asleep, you know, when you're in that like dream state. And I'm
Mhm.
sharing this because I truly believe she was picking up on all of the fear. She's a very empathic, very psychic being. And she was having these dreams that people were disappearing. She's like,
Mhm.
I'm seeing people disappear, and she couldn't grab onto them. So my point is that to support her in this, and anybody, we're going to talk about it. We're going to write about it. We're going to release the fear. And I'm going to show her tools. And this is for anyone, tools on how to protect your energy field.
Mhm.
Now, some people are like, who may be more left brained, maybe, I don't know. If you're like, what is an energy field? We are all energy, whether you're super left brain or analytical. It doesn't matter your job. It doesn't matter what your belief system is. We are all energy. And right now we are all feeling the collective consciousness, whether you can on a conscious level think it or not, or feel it. It's there. So one of the big things is, one, don't ignore your feelings. Get them out, but don't give power to it. Write about it, go scream about it, let it out. And then this is a really important piece. And this is super, super, super simple. And this will help with your immunity too, because fear will lower your immunity. That it is a
Mhm.
fact. Like
Yeah.
it will just kind of like keep nudging at you. So
So
the
the
big thing is,
first piece is don't ignore your feelings,
don't ignore it.
right? No
Don't pretend like it's not
suppressing.
happening.
We're not fine in a moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're having a moment of just like I said, I had a couple of bricks hit me, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, like,
Yeah.
so don't ignore your feelings.
Yep.
And don't how did you phrase that? Don't become your feelings, or don't let your feelings take your power away, or how
Yeah.
did you say it exactly?
Yeah, like if you're in a state of worry or fear, I'm a recovering worry addict, so I can go into like spin out really quick.
Yeah.
What's this? I can literally go there, and I can live there all day. And then the day is shot, and I just made up all this story in my head, and I could give power to that, or I could say, all right, I'm worried. And talk to that part of myself that's worried, calm her
Mhm.
down, and then come back home to myself and come back to reality. The reality is I'm home right now. I have food in the fridge. I have a roof over my head. I'm with my family. I'm supporting people through this. And that's what's really happening. I don't personally know anybody with coronavirus. It doesn't take away from the fact that you may, but I'm just then bring it back to basics of what is real right now. Right now, I'm talking to Tiffany. Right now, you're watching this live and your mind wants to make up a ton of stories.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You know, I've covered a bunch of things and a bunch of tools and a bunch of just point of views over the past few days. But let's talk about what our mind does, and let's talk about why it does it. It's not a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
So, you know, and I love that piece you just shared is like, feel your feelings, acknowledge, you know, that you have fear or you're worried or you're about to get angry, you know, all those things. And then have a conversation with yourself about it rather than, in my work, rather than becoming it
Mm-hmm.
or denying it. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about, you know, those stories we make up in our head.
Just quickly, someone wrote that it's echoing. So I don't know.
Thank
On
you. Thank you for
Instagram.
that. Is that on Instagram or in
Mhm.
Facebook? Okay.
No, on
Yeah,
Instagram.
our
I
friends
just
on
got the feed.
Instagram, I think because we're on our phones and we don't know how to, you know, I don't have my sound system, my sound studio set up over here. But thank you so much for letting us know that it's echoing. I'm trying to create like a win here. So I'm going to turn the volume down on my computer and
Me
let's
too.
see if that
Is that
creates.
better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just I'll just talk and see if anyone else.
Yeah, and please keep letting us know if there's any challenges with the sound. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so
Yay. Okay.
much for
Someone
letting
said
us know.
yay. It's fixed. They said it's fixed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. You're the
Okay.
best.
Now,
Thank you
what
so
we were
much for
talking
supporting
about,
us.
we were talking about the stories you make up in your
Yeah,
mind.
the stories we make up. Yeah.
So, as a recovering worry addict, if you're listening and you like to worry or you just go to worry, I totally get it. And what I've found about worry is it's like you're trying to control it. It's like this false sense of comfort and control. Like if I worry enough, maybe I'll be prepared for what I just made up in my head. And we can play a lot of tricks with our mind. So my point is like, and our mind wants to figure all of this out. We want to figure it out. We want to know what's next. I want to know what's next. I used to be addicted to going to like psychics to tell me what was next. There's no knowing what's next here. Every day we just get to be in the present. So when your mind goes off and starts worrying about finances, whatever it is, and that's all real, come back to what is actually happening in the moment. Because unless you're dealing with it, you're making it all up. Unless it's
So talk about
actually
that, Beth.
happening.
Unless you're dealing with that, let's get clear on what that means.
Yeah.
If so, let's use that example of finances. Like I'm worrying about my finances, and I'm starting to make up all these stories that I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that. You catch it in that moment, and
Yes, catch it in the moment and come back to basics. So let's say you are dealing with something like I did lose my job, and that's very real and that is happening. So if you go into worry, which is totally natural and normal, but if you start future tripping, start going off, you're going to miss what to do in the moment. Like, okay, where do you go? Like asking yourself empowering questions. Because when we go into the fear of like what's going to happen and the anxiety, it's going to take you out of the power of being able to actually be present for what's happening. And I'll say this, like I even got a letter yesterday because I'm a small business owner here in San Francisco, offering support. Like if I'm not paying attention to stuff like that, I'm going to actually miss the support that is coming. So if we're in fear and anxiety, we can actually miss what's the huge amounts of support. So use the energy to research, use the energy to say, okay, how can I get the support that I need? Like use that energy of worry into action. Does this make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, because we talked about this earlier this week that, you know, one of the things that is
I'm just plugging in my computer.
Yeah. So one of the things that's been giving me a lot of light and a lot of joy is, as we're in this new paradigm, I can't even imagine what's being created right now in the creative world, in invention, innovation, in just harmony, like everything that's being created right now, because people are choosing to be in their power, and they're choosing to be in the present moment and create, rather than give their power and energy away to the future one possible outcome. And that's something I share with my clients as well. Sure, that could happen, but that's one possibility. And, as Thomas shared with us yesterday, what's another, he shared alternative possibilities. Like, what's another possibility? Because there isn't always just one possibility. Sure, it's and that's one of the things that I wanted to dive in with you is when we're telling the stories in our mind, it just seems like we're conditioned to go to that shadow, because it's somehow conditionally it's easy to go there rather than to, in the same instance, like it doesn't take any extra energy. We just shift, and the same amount of light is available to us as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how, we've been talking about this, how, yes, feel your feelings, it's all there, but guess what? There's also the same amount, if not an infinite amount of light also available for you to be in that same energy. It goes one way or the other way. You can't divide it. I always like to remind people, you can't divide, it's going one way, because we're one being. And it's, and if you find yourself, your energy, going down the shadow or the dark or the fear, the anxiety, I heard that word a lot this week, anxiety. It's a choice. Those are all, and I know if you haven't done the deeper work that Beth and I have done, you might want to say F you to me right now, that it's that anxiety and stress and fear are a choice. Yet what we're here offering is another possibility, another way to be with what's going on. So choosing to shift that energy into what do you want instead, shift it into the light that is also available for you. Your light, and light in general, never goes away. That sun is rising every day, no matter what, no matter what. So Beth, share a little bit more about, what's going on in your neck of the woods, with how you are holding space and supporting, people that are coming to you for the work that you be and the work that you create.
Yeah, thank you for that. So the way that, and this is the work I've been doing all along, and now getting people really supported and anchored in their relationship to themselves. Because when it comes down to it, you guys, we come into this world all by ourselves, unless you're a twin, and we leave this world all by ourselves. And we bookend it with us, with our own being. And the more solid you are in your relationship to yourself and your relationship to your power, you could truly navigate through anything. And humans are so incredibly resilient. So where I'm working with people is getting them to see the bigger perspective of things, just like you were saying. They're in not stay like really in like these little breakdowns that are happening, which are real. It's not to ignore them, but to pull out and look at the bigger perspective and continue anchoring in to their power, continuing to, in this coronavirus is really showing us our own personal shadow, our own personal, what do we get to work on within ourselves, so that we can become, and I'm going to use the word because it's the summit that I'm using is our own spiritual warrior. Because right now is where we get to be the warrior. You're the warrior in your life. And it's not about fighting. It's not about like hurting. It's about showing up on the front lines. And so where I'm working with people is really getting them to the place of, you get to be the warrior in your life, which the leader, how do you want to lead your family through this? How do you want to lead your community through this? How do you want to show up for those people that are scared? And getting people very, very solid in their in their own internal warrior, in their power. And there are people that are really hungry right now for support, clarity, and feeling incredibly solid within yourself.
Beautiful. And, you know, that's something that you could do that right from here. You don't need to go out into the world to create that intimacy with yourself and that deep connection with yourself. And, that's something that it's just, when we really think about it, like what a beautiful thing to create right now, right here and now, right here and now. This is not a project. This is your life. This is what truly can create the peace of mind, have you anchored into your power, and that's where we find all the possibilities. So Beth, anything else you want to share with everyone watching now and who will watch later, in regards to, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, and what you see as possible?
As you were speaking, like I was thinking, I don't know how long this is gonna last. Like I don't know, but I was just thinking, whatever gifts come out of this, and the gifts come in different packages. Uh, I truly hope people don't get amnesia. Like once we're
Yeah.
back up and running, the amnesia that this was here to show us that what we're doing is not working. And I'm going to share this really quickly because we were talking about this
Yeah.
before. I watched this TEDx. You will drop the link. It's a TED Talk on the coronavirus. This woman, she works for the World Health Organization. She shot it 2 weeks ago, and it's really powerful. And she knows about health. Like this is what she does. But one thing she said that really struck me was that the coronavirus is here to show us how imbalanced we are and how we have been treating our animals and how we've been treating our earth. And the more we rape the land, the more we take over the Amazon rainforest for cattle, the more we destroy the Congo forest in Africa and all of these places. She's like, we're entering into this land where animals live, and we don't even know what kind of animals are there. And we're taking them out and bringing them out, and all of these different species. And what she was saying was that this is, until we stop doing this, we're going to see more things like this from the corona than other viruses.
Yeah.
And she's saying the coronavirus actually lives in animals. It's one of that's why it's so hard to capture. I hope I'm not butchering it, but basically what she was saying was that until we wake up and stop raping our lands and taking and taking and taking and taking, we're just going to see more of this. And that's where I hope people, one, do your personal work, and asking for support or going to a therapist or a coach, that does not make you weak. That does not make you bad. That does not make you crazy. It makes you powerful. And it supports you in being a better person, in a better self, being happier, being more joyful. So get the support that you need. And as a collective, I hope we don't get amnesia around this, and we realize what we've been doing to our environment, what we've been doing to our animals, and that we've been taking on such a deep level. It's so intense if you actually look at what we've been doing. So her talk is incredibly powerful. So what I'd love to say is, like, get support. Really take this time, even if you're like, I don't meditate, or whatever it is, whatever story you have, it doesn't have to look any way. Just spend time with yourself. Go out in nature and spend time and listen and be with yourself. Like, truly be with yourself in this time to quiet. And then how do you want to show up so that we can be a stronger collective? We can be more of a harmonious collective, one that actually looks out for each other, our animals, our plants, and our land.
Yeah. So I love that, Beth. Thank you for presencing that. We're going to drop that link
So
here in Instagram and Facebook once we hop off to the TEDx talk that Beth is referencing. And Beth, I love that piece. Let's not get amnesia. And let's not, once things are, up and running. And, one thing that I've been presencing is we're not going back to normal,
Mm-mm.
because I've caught myself saying that, and I've heard other people say that. And I'm like, that pre January is done. This is now a new paradigm. So that's why you hear me saying that. But, once we move into getting back into like the world with each other, that we do not get to forget. We get to remember, we get to learn, we get to evolve and grow. And what I'm hearing you say is with ourselves, with nature, like animals, and with the collective, that including Mother Earth as well. So thank you so much for coming on. I definitely want to circle back on so many things with you, because Beth and I were also talking about some man-made things that just are broken up right now, that that I was like, oh my gosh, this is so juicy. And I'm telling you guys, all of these juicy conversations you're having with just like people in your life, come online and share them with people.
Yeah.
So, we get all of this out, we're sharing, we're supporting each other. And I love the fact that you presence that getting support right now is what gets to happen. And it's actually a powerful way to show up right now, is to get support. And I love, you remind me, like, everything can look a million different ways. So even that meditate, like, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, meditation, it's not for me. Great. What is for you? What is available for you? And just like support looks so many different ways. And sometimes supporting is giving, focusing out and giving, being open to support, and then kind of navigating through that to then receive it on the other side. So Beth Osmer, I love you to death. I love you, love you, love you. Beth also has an online series that is out and live now. Do you want to share just a little bit about that? And I posted it on my Facebook. So give us a little download on that, and how people can continue following you, asking you questions, and learning more about who you be.
Who I be, I love that. Yeah. So I have an online interview series. It's totally free. So feel free to sign up. It's called The Spiritual Warrior. We'll have the link here. And I've interviewed over 20 thought leaders, healers, shamans, mystics, business coaches. And it was interesting because I had the idea for this and started working on it before the coronavirus hit. And then I started interviewing people during the coronavirus. So Spirit really led me to doing this show right now. I mean, it's kind of interesting. There's every guest is talking about the virus, and it's so powerful. And they're offering tools and different ideas and strategies, not just for like your spiritual well-being, but also business. There's an herbalist on there. There's just so much information, and it's totally free. And I would love for you to join us on this.
Yeah. So the link is already on my Facebook. We're going to pop it in the Instagram comments. We're going to pop it into the Facebook comments, and you could always reach out to me. Beth is, you can see her right here, right now. You can connect with her any which way feels good and supportive to you. And so with that, I wanted to share that tomorrow's guest, you actually know her, Beth. It's going to be Journey Jill.
I had a dream about her last night.
Yeah, she's going to be sharing about her journey from leaving her corporate job and traveling the world, and her whole experience and movement on connection. So Journey Jill is the founder of the Connection Lounge, and I'm so excited to talk to her tomorrow about everything that she is. And what's interesting, Beth, is she's sourced being in Hawaii right now. She is on a farm in Hawaii. She is doing land work, nourishing the land in Hawaii. This is something she chose way before this Corona experience happened. And now she's just like, wow, she's on a pineapple farm right now in Hawaii, working the land. And so we're going to be talking to her tomorrow at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So my name is Tiffany Hauser. This is Beth Osmer. What a joy and a pleasure. Everyone who posted a comment in Instagram or Facebook, we will be coming in to follow up on everything. I love each and every one of you. Beth, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much
And I'll
for
see you
having
soon,
me.
my love. Mwah. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.